Good morning, everyone. Welcome to In the Fifth Set with Coach Wildman. Today's special guest is someone I've known for, oh God, going over 10 years now, Gisele Kreuger, who is the founder of the Winner Will. Thanks for being with us.
Yeah, I'm thrilled to be here.
So the first time that we crossed paths was back at Aberhart back in 2010. You were coaching the junior girls team with Steph Burnside was on that team at the time, and you had this legacy as a coach. Where did it all begin? So let's go back in time, because you were extremely successful as a coach. So if you can tell us about your story, that'd be great.
Oh, thanks. Well, first, I was an athlete.
Yeah.
And had a lot of success there. I think with Mark Tennant in Saskatchewan, and my team won nationals. And, 3 years in a row, my grade 12 year, and then 2 years after that. And so 2 for me. And then in that time, played junior national team, had some amazing coaches like the legendary Mike Burchuk, Michelle Gagnon. Was really, really fortunate, Dave, to have good roots, like just basic skill development, ball control. So I'm kind of cut from that cloth, just work a lot on the basic skills. So, started coaching at quite a young age, as soon as I was done playing, and had a lot of success at the beginning because I was so passionate. I think because I taught basic skills. But it was all about me, if that makes sense. Mm-hmm. It was like, if I won, I was a winner. If I lost, I was a loser. And it was just this roller coaster ride until kind of my mid years at Aberhart, where winning, losing, coached at Scarlet for years and kind of got that program going with Janet Gutterson and Vic Margetts, and just so many good people, that love volleyball and are just in the game for so long and are so great. And then took a little break from coaching because I was frustrated, and then got into guidance counseling at Aberhart and started coaching again. And then what happened, Dave, was I had a mentor in the school. I actually took over his job, Wayne Thomas. He's a basketball coach, and he just kind of helped me reframe and use my gifts and my talents for what we needed to do. So basically, it became more about the athletes than it did about myself, and it all happened with honestly, the whole Winner Will thing. Kind of came out of my work with at-risk students, where kids who hate school, don't want to be in school, smoke way too much weed, whatever. And we just kind of went, wow, like, how do you get these kids, engaged? And so we just started doing the personal profile. How are you smart? How do you learn? How do you express yourself? We started to figure out kind of where they were as a learner. And we had so much success with those at-risk kids that I thought, why don't I try this in the gym? Mm-hmm. And that was kind of the early 2000s. And honestly, since when I brought that into the gym, just kind of the whole process of self-awareness and increasing that's kind of really blossomed. But I think setting up an environment for athletes to really learn who they are and be who they are, and create a safe learning environment in the gym. And when they have that, and when they figure out kind of how to deal with the pressure of sport, it's so much more fun for everyone, and it was really interesting just kind of how that process went from school into the gym. And there was just so much freedom, really. I called it free to learn and then free to play. And and that's kind of my story. And really the Winner Will and free to play, kind of that growth of it was really the athletes, the right. Leah Shevkeniks, the Kate Pecksmans, the Steph Burnsides, you know, Ellie Prince, like just all those young athletes who were so passionate about the sport that we've kind of figured this stuff out together and created this space for them to be free. And when you're free to play, you know,
good things happen.
A lot of magic happens.
Yeah. Awesome.
So that's kind of been kind of the story. And the roots definitely are with Mark Tennant and Michelle Gagnon, that psychological part of just mental toughness and how do you get there. And, you know, Mike Burchuk has a saying that he always says, keep a big heart, a strong mind, and always find a way. Okay. And that's kind of the, you know, the essence of it. Yeah, so that's kind of the story. And I'm just really grateful. I've had amazing athletes, amazing mentors, many mentors I haven't met, you know, just great people who are doing research and, you know, that I get to read and use in the Winner Will. So yeah, I've been really fortunate.
And I think, you know, it was a huge transition for myself to come from BC to Calgary, and the high school scene and the volleyball scene in general in Calgary is an interesting bag of worms in itself.
It is.
But you know, you were highly respected by fellow coaches, post-secondary coaches, by the athletes. And I know there's, you know, you're not, you know, there, I know you weren't recruiting or anything like that, but there was definitely a vibe of people wanted to play at Aberhart because you were there. You know what I mean? And people chose Aberhart because there was definitely a volleyball program set in stone there where you could be successful, and a lot of successful athletes have come from it.
Yes, I think that notion of if you build it, they will come.
Yeah.
You know, and I remember I have to do a little shout out here to a few of my early athletes where it wasn't necessarily, I mean, Kevin Pelios was an amazing volleyball coach there, and he had created a program like with I can't remember her name now, but anyway, you know, there's some good athletes that came out of there before. But what happened was when I went to Scarlet, I mean, you bring your passion somewhere, and if you're passionate and you build something, people start to come. Like, look at Scarlet. Like, we started that in the early 90s, Dave, where it was Janet and Vic and myself and, you know, and just such great people, Darren. And we created this program, and then people want to go there.
Right.
You know, but it starts out with the grind of maybe one club kid or two club kids, you know, at a school like that. And then once you build it, then kids just want to go there and they find a way, you know. Same happened with Aberhart then. You know, we had some great coaches there too. Mm-hmm. And Kevin Pelios for years. And so, yeah, I was very fortunate to, you know, just kind of create that space for kids. And then honestly, parents seek out coaching. They seek out people who are going to help develop their kids. And when that's in the system, they're going to find a way to get to Aberhart. And I was lucky too, because I had administrators who understood the power of sport in the school and how it builds culture and sport people, but they saw what sport does in a school when you create something special like that.
Now, like, school has always, I mean, club has grown quite a bit, and I know that you deal with lots of club athletes, you deal with lots of post-secondary athletes, national team athletes, et cetera, et cetera. Do you feel that that school is still the same? You know, for example, when I came to Aberhart, it was really difficult. I mean, you have 80 boys show up and you're choosing 12. You know what I mean? And it's like, obviously all 12 of those kids are going to probably be club athletes, and club is not cheap either. You know, there's this definitely divide, you know, right. and it feels like, how do we get more kids into the sports based on this, you know, how things are right now? Because we're actually not doing ourselves a favor by pushing kids away that don't play club. You know, I again, back when I played high school in the 90s, it was like there's maybe one club athlete, and club volleyball is like, what's that? Especially for guys, right? So do you think that club should turn into a, you know, what are your professional thoughts on the school system and club system? Should they run coincide, where school could be like, just it's there for everyone. You don't need to be that top level athlete, or like, I don't know. How has it changed over the years, in your opinion?
Well, Dave, I have a very particular view on that.
Okay.
And I kind of compare it to a very, very bright math student.
Okay.
We don't say, hey, everybody, let's just get everybody, doing those math contests and taking Math 31 and doing Math AP. Like, just everybody can do it. And let's make it fair for everyone, because everyone, should feel great about themselves in math.
Sure.
But that's not the case.
Yeah.
And why would we do that to excellent A student athletes?
Fair, yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
Totally
like,
know what you're
why
saying.
would we say, listen, let's water it down and let everybody play? And no, you know what? The reality is right now, and it's evolved, that if you want to play high school for a good high school team,
strong team,
you have to play club.
Yep.
And if you don't, and listen, there are so many people out there that help young athletes. Like, look at what Matt Stainer's doing right now at JVC, just creating space for kids, inner city kids, to come and play basketball there. Like, that's that guy's heart. He is always looking for ways to include people and be inclusive. And I am about, including people and whatever, but that's what intramurals are for.
Sure. Fair enough.
Like, so at Scarlet, we ran a great intramural program. Aberhart, great intramural program. You want to play volleyball and you're not willing to go and do the work, or some reality is that you're unable to play club due to, parent support or finances or whatever.
Yeah.
But essentially, if there's an athlete and they really want to play club, they're going to find a way. I really believe that. And I think there's people like yourself and Karsten and, myself and Lori Eisler and, like people who really care about, getting those kids in there. So, but I mean, I really believe in elite sport.
Sure.
I do.
Amen.
I really, really do. And I think it's such a great space for athletes, for, I call them A student athletes, like the A student math, they're always afforded that space to be a 90 average student. No one's saying, oh, everybody just take a 70, Right. I mean, you put kids in the school system who can't pass the ball or, don't have that, kind of a capacity. It really waters it down for those athletes who are passionate about it. So I'm a bit of a, I think we always need to create space for kids to play sports. But I think there has to be a space, and I really believe that the high school and club systems, complement each other.
Yeah.
And it's a way for those kids to train all year. And so, yeah, that's kind of my view on it. And I think it's just the reality and the way it's evolved.
Oh, for sure. And I think, I think my angle was more like, do we have the varsity team, and then there's a B team, you know what I mean, that plays in a different league, you know what I mean, where you play the B teams of every other school, or where schools could have multiple teams, but then it comes down to how many teachers, gym availability, how many volunteers, and I'm going, I was just trying to figure out a way how ASAA can actually, use this as a positive to grow sports in general on the high school front, right? But no, I mean, I totally get the high performance level. I mean, I've bugged Volleyball Alberta for years about their white medal. If you come 9th place, you get a white medal. I'm like, why are we doing that? You know what I mean? There's no point. So they finally got rid of it. It's awesome. So just a comment here on the side was Dale Melnick working with Gisele and the Winner Will a few years ago with the junior national team was a game changer for me. So there's a shout out for you. You were a successful athlete, obviously a successful. What happened in, anything happened in your life that, pushed you that direction? Where we go with this?
Sorry, Dave, you just kind of cut out there.
Just talking about, like, you know, after coaching and going into retirement and stuff like that. What brought up the Winner Will? How did you come about pursuing this? You are a name brand household. You're a household name when it comes to the Winner Will and the coaches across Canada. So tell us more about it.
Oh, thanks. Well, I was in my 30th year of teaching guidance counseling for the last 15, and I you know, not too far before this, I said to my husband, I don't know if I'll ever retire because I just love my job. Sure. Like I would go to work every day, and honestly, it was like a school where we had such a great culture. It was teacher leaders, so many great people I worked with there, and we had such a great guidance department where kids wanted to come there, you know, like it was just go to guidance, you know. So I was very, very fortunate. But my 30th year of teaching, I was diagnosed in March with cancer. So that was 7 years ago this March, which is amazing. You know, I'm so grateful every day. But it was stage 3 cancer, and it was basically, I put my belongings in a green Superstore bin, left my keys on my desk, and I thought, I don't even know if I'm ever going to be back, you know.
That's
so I had to get pretty sick to get better, and it was about 2.5 years of treatment. And in that time, I think it was the first time, Dave, that I sat down in 30 years, you know, and I was like, okay, well, here I am, you know, and you have to convalesce. You have no choice. And it's interesting because a lot of people are like, why are you doing so well in COVID, you know? And I think it's because I built so much resilience during that time of being, you know, your job is ripped away, your health is ripped away, everything is kind of like over, you know. And so in that time, my husband just said, hon, why don't you start, you know, just put pen to paper and create something, you know, while you're convalescing. And then that's kind of what we did. And it's just kind of taken on a life of its own, Dave. Let me tell you, if I would have realized what I, you know, had to do or will do or whatever when I was starting it, I don't know that I would have started it, you know. But I'm learning a lot. I'm learning a lot about business. I'm learning a lot about media. I'm learning a lot about myself, you know, and just a lot about where young athletes are at this time. And I just want to, just like I was when I was a guidance counselor, a teacher, I just loved being with the athletes. I loved being with my students. We just kind of created space. That's the way I always think about it, is create a space for change. Create a space where kids can come and be themselves, get to know themselves, and then kind of go, I think I'm going to be myself, you know? And like I said earlier, that's kind of where all the magic happens for kids. Like I can't tell you the number of kids that I've watched come in so shy or so broken or so kind of, you know, they're believing things about them that maybe they had a negative experience with a coach or whatever. And we just do the work, and then they're free. And they start to go, like, okay, this is how I build confidence, you know, and this is how it's authentic confidence. And I always say confidence rooted in humility. And humility, best definition I've ever heard, is simply being yourself, not puffing yourself up, not putting yourself down, but just being yourself. And that's the essence of the work we do in the Winner Will, you know. And a lot of people like, oh, mental training, mental and emotional training. Yes. But to me, the foundation has to be laid. And the foundation is, do you know yourself? We have a model in the Winner Will, body, soul, spirit. So it's looking at the whole person. And then once you kind of get there, you know, and kind of say, yeah, okay, you know, I kind of have the essence of who I am and my strengths, and let's go with that. Then we can start to go, okay, what's going on with your performance? You know,
Right.
what is happening for you? Are you enjoying what you've signed up for? You know, is this fun for you? Like, is it where the life flows for you? You know? So
you've worked with many athletes on a variety of levels. So is this, you know, and I know the program. We've talked much about, you know, many times about it before. But but for people who don't know it, is this a one-on-one thing? Is this a team thing, or is this kind of like a class you take online, or how does it all work? Are there varieties of different things that you guys do?
It happens differently for a lot of people, but essentially what the Winner Will is what I had to do when I was creating it was create an online course, which wasn't really a thing back then, because you know, I didn't have the energy as I was going through treatment to go and do these workshops or, you know, kind of weekend things. So my husband said, he built a studio in our basement. He's like, let's get someone in here who knows how to do video, and that's always a work in progress. But anyway, we created this online to be with the kid. I have to be in the room. And it took me a while to figure out, no, you don't. Because there's so much content and there's such a process that takes time. So our online course is maybe 7-8 hours of instruction. So, and it's 3 basic steps, you know, just to keep it simple.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that the essence of the Winner Will, the beauty of it is the simplicity of the language, and just, you know, kind of helping athletes, you know, kind of synthesize and get that research in so that they know that it's science-based and this is, you know, what you can do to essentially be great, you know? So that's one way, is the online course. And that is kind of, I won't now work with anyone unless they've done the course, because then they were speaking the same language.
Right.
And it took me a long time to get there, because I would say, oh yeah, and then I would teach, you know, have to do so much teaching. But now it's like, just do the course and then we can talk one-on-one. And then that's where the real work starts. Like, for example, I work with a number of youth sport teams, not just in volleyball, but it's starting to kind of spread into different sports.
Cool.
And I thought, oh, well, I'm not the authority in soccer or hockey, you know, but it didn't matter.
Right.
It didn't matter. The level, the gender, the sport, you know, it just doesn't matter, because it's the human condition, you know, and that's kind of what we deal with is, how are you doing, you know? And so the course kind of lays the foundation and gets them kind of with, you know, we're speaking the same language. And then when students really, student athletes really delve into it, then it's more the one-on-one, or like different coaches at the youth sport level hire me to be on retainer. And so their athletes have access to me anytime. And that's, you know, that's something that those coaches value.
Now,
and,
do you do this with coaches?
Pardon me?
Do you do this? Do you mentor coaches as well? Like,
you know,
this,
I do.
This course,
I'm not so much in volleyball. You know, I have many young coaches that I speak with, and you know, we just love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've done some hockey mentoring, soccer, ringette. Yeah, so it's like different sports, mentoring around kind of how to create that space for athletes to be free to learn and free to play in your sport, you know, in your gym, on your court, on your field, whatever. So yes, and you know what, Dave, to me, really, my heart is for the athlete.
Of course.
But I'm realizing as we go through this that I need to create more of a coaching type program so coaches can just take it and use it, you know, because that's where I think a lot of the work needs to be done. I always look at a coach, and, you know, often when I work with athletes, the coach comes up, if you know what I mean. And I always say, okay, I believe I would say 99% of coaches have the right heart, and they are doing the best they can with what they know. And so we're taking the coach off the table.
Okay.
You know, and you know, we never kind of get into, oh, coach, you know, I would teach them the difficult conversation process. I would teach them, you know, understand what happens when we get into the blame game. Like, so, you know, in the coaching, I hear a lot of things from athletes about coaching, but I always give the coach the benefit of the doubt. And, you know, there's always three sides to a story. So, you know, we kind of take the coach off the table, but I always think, oh man, you know, I would want more coaches to kind of hear what we do, because it's just so liberating for kids, you know. And yeah, I hope that answers it.
Yeah, no, I think it's great. I would love to see a coaching side of this. Like on my personal side, I know that I've changed over the years and stuff like that, and I think for the most part, most coaches do as they get older and wiser, I guess, you know. How do you get the engagement you want from athletes? So, for example, I know you've worked with club teams in the past and still do. How do you get them to buy into it? You know what I mean? Because this is something that is extremely valuable, but is I think overlooked in many club programs, and overlooked. You know, everyone wants to be a high performance athlete, but you know, who's actually going to do the work and who's not. You know, so you have a team of 12. Just using volleyball as an example.
Yeah.
They all are 12 different personalities. They have 12 different sort of goals. I mean, sure, they all want to play post-secondary of some sort or play on the national team. Yeah. How do you get the engagement in these individual athletes based on on how you do things?
Mm-hmm. Well, what we found over the years is that there are typically 3 to 4 athletes per team who really want to be great. Like sports psychologists will tell us, Dave, that there's 3 things you have to train to be great. You have to train your body, your skills, and your mind. And I think we do such a great job of the body and the skills. And we're, you know, I know that's how I built my teams, you know, train hard. We're going to be the hardest working team in the city, in the club system or whatever. And we're going to be the best servers, the best passers, like, you know, work on skill, you know, teach them shots. For years into my coaching career, I really didn't equip my athletes to play in pressure, you know, to really show up to the exam, which, using that math analogy that we used earlier, it would be like I expected them to do something that I wasn't equipping them for, and then I would be upset about it.
Right.
You know, like myself. I'm just telling you, short version.
Yeah.
So now, you know, I just look at it like, listen, if you tell me you want to be great, then this is what you have to do. And you hit the nail on the head earlier, Dave, when you said work, because it's kind of like everything people kind of want to say, oh, 3 simple steps and just do this, or tip of the day, or, you know, and it's like, no, you know what? This takes training and work just like anything else, you know? And I think I always say the training, you can sit and talk on Zoom and have a water or tea or coffee, or, you know, and it's kind of fun. And so once they see what it is, this is the other layer of that, is that really, what is the winner will? You know, it's a process, it's a philosophy, it's a tool, and it's one way. I don't believe like there's some secret or magic bullet, or if you just do the winner will, you're gonna, you know, no. I mean, I just put pen to paper. Very fortunate to have so many people support me. Lori Eisler, Melanie Sanford, like Doug Reimer, Ryan Hofer, like all those, you know, Ken Bentley, like they're my peers, right? They're my friends, and they believe in me and what I do. And so they bring me into the club scene. And then once the club coaches really see what it is, they go, whoa, like, this is a great way for kids to do this training. And it's just evolved, Dave.
Totally.
And now, so the kids can take a course. Sometimes I do, seminars. Sometimes I do team retreats, or a lot of my work is one-on-one, where we dig in and start to do the training. And it's basically sounds something like this. What's going on for you? Tell me more about that, and the athlete will start to open up and really talk about what's actually going on in their life, and we can then get to the bottom of it. And that's as simple as that, really. And for every athlete, it's a different situation, and that's the beauty of the Winner Will, is it's not kind of one size fits all and do this. If you do this, this is gonna, no, it's like, here's what you can do, and you're worth it. Do the work, and man, I've watched, like I said, just so many athletes transform themselves because they're doing this work. And I'm just privileged to come alongside them for a little while.
Yeah, and I think that's that's what sport's about. It's about making better people, at the end of the day, and using sport as to find life lessons and figure who you are, and work in a team. I mean, we can list all the different stuff, you know what I mean? And I just think that, like, working with athletes and talking to parents, throughout my years, it's, parents are like, some people don't know that. Now they do know that, and it was like, you didn't just go to piano, to your teacher's house and learn how to play one day a week. You had to practice every day. You did stuff at home. And I think that's, when you talk about that trifecta of mind and skill, and like that, the mind part is totally overlooked, 100%. And the physical part is like, okay, like people go, okay, I'm going to be a good player, but aren't willing to do dryland training, you know what I mean? And stuff like that. Right. So it's quite interesting, and trying to build the complete person, the complete athlete, and so what has been the most, what's the biggest aha moment for you? Doing the Winner Will, is it, finding out more about yourself, or what I don't know. I just, what sort of things have really, you didn't think were going to come of it, and now here we are talking about it?
I think the biggest aha, Dave, is for me to keep doing what I'm asking them to do. Which is keep learning, stay open, growth mindset, that whole, everything is figure outable, as Marie Folio would say. Like I have a thing in my work day that I had to create, because I was in school my whole life, essentially, until I was 54 years old. I'm almost 60. So it's, I had to create a space for really being productive in my own home.
Sure.
And so I have a 2-2-1, where I read for 2 hours, I write for 2 hours, and I work out for an hour.
Interesting.
And if I do that in my day, then I can go be, a grandma to my grandchildren, and, see my friends or do other things, because I had to learn that it wasn't 24/7, and that I just need to do what I can do, and also do what gives me life. Like, there's certain things in this business now, Dave, that I'm like, whoa, like, why would I do that? And I'm not a real salesy person, so that whole marketing thing has been very challenging for me. But having said that, if people don't know about it, they're not going to be able to benefit from it. So that's what I've been really learning, is keep learning, keep growing, keep staying open to what the possibilities are, because they're endless in this. I just had a beautiful young coach. She's out at Queens coaching, and she was saying, like, wow, like, how do I do this with my athletes? And, and so it's just this constant, there's just a never-ending flow of people coming into it, Dave, that I don't worry too much about. I just think people who are going to who really want to do the work will find it in some way. And there's so many other good people out there doing this work, but I'm one of them, and the path that, if I come across someone's path and I'm able to work with them, I'm just so thrilled. And I think once athletes kind of hear about it, they do become engaged. But the real hardcore ones that really dig in and really want to do that one-on-one work, there's about 3 to 4 per team.
Right. And I love that 2-2-1. So my biggest issue is I think there's 48 hours in a day. And that is my biggest, I would say, I like how you say, you create a space where you can be productive. It's like, do I do one thing extremely well, or do I do everything at 80%? You know what I mean? And that's the thing that I'm trying to find with a 5-month-old baby and stuff like that. I'm going, something's got to give here, because fatherhood is a once in a lifetime opportunity, and I don't want to be consumed by work.
Number one.
Yeah, and the nice, home right now and see all her firsts, so that's exciting. On that side of thing, I'm going, God, if COVID wasn't happening, I'd probably be missing all these these crucial moments and stuff like that. So how do people she's adorable. So see, proud father here. But how do people get a hold of you? Like, where can we find you? What's your website, domain, emails, all that stuff?
And rightly so.
Isla. Yeah.
How old am I?
No. How do people get a hold of you?
I thought you said, how old are you?
Yeah. No. How do people get a hold of you? Yeah, get a hold of you.
My website is it's Gisele at thewinnerwill.com.
Okay.
You can go to our website, thewinnerwill.com, and it's all there. There's it's a pretty simple website, but it's kind of what people need to engage with us. And and if they take a look at what's there, and then send me a note, and just everyone is like, whether it's a team or an individual or a club or whatever, we just kind of go from there and have the conversation and what's workable. And so that's how they would get a hold of me. Gisele at thewinnerwill.com.
And there's no limitations on this. I mean, you said you were working with one of a coach out in Queens and stuff like that. So you've worked with athletes all across Canada.
Oh yeah,
and the States. And the States. There you go.
Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Gisele,
it's great.
Do you have Facebook, Instagram, all that stuff? I mean, that's where that's
Facebook,
the hip thing.
Instagram, the Winner Will. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, I really appreciate your time. I want you to hold on to the line when we do go offline. But again, thanks for being with us today. And this will be posted on YouTube. I'll make sure to send you the link, and we will chat soon.
Thanks. Thank you, Dave.
No problem.